Good afternoon. It's Thursday, July 30. I'm Mai Rodriguez for your Midday Report. We'll be giving you the stories shaping the nation at this hour. In the headlines, the Senate Impeachment Court gets hold of the tax records of Vice President Sara Duterte and her husband, Carpio. Meanwhile, the Vice President asks the International Criminal Court not only to release her father, but also to speed up his trial. Tennis star Alex Eala advances to the quarterfinals of the Mubadala Open after a dramatic comeback win against defending champ Leylah Fernandez. And in entertainment, the tourism department sets a watch party for the much-anticipated performance of SB19 in Lollapalooza. The Bureau of Internal Revenue has submitted the tax records of Vice President Sara Duterte and her husband, attorney Carpio, before the impeachment court. Let's get the details and what this means for the next trial days. Hannah is reporting live from the Senate. Hannah, go ahead.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has authorized the release of Vice President Sara Duterte's tax records to the Senate Impeachment Court, clearing a key requirement under the country's tax code. Some representatives of the Bureau of Internal Revenue arrived here this morning with boxes of documents as they confirmed that they secured the president's approval before submitting the documents to the Senate. The records were turned over to the Office of the Clerk of Court before the 9 a.m. deadline set by the Impeachment Court. The submission includes the tax records of VP Sara, her husband, attorney Carpio, as well as corporations allegedly linked to the couple. The documents were produced in compliance with a subpoena issued by the Senate Impeachment Court as part of its proceedings on the second article of impeachment, which involves allegations of unexplained wealth of the VP. But the court had earlier made it clear that its subpoena alone was not enough to allow the release of tax records. In its July 20 ruling, the impeachment court cited the National Internal Revenue Code, which strictly limits access to taxpayer records. Under the law, such records may only be disclosed under specific circumstances, including upon the president's order, with the taxpayer's waiver, or through certain foreign tax requests with presidential approval. With the president's authorization now secured, the BIR was able to legally comply with the court's subpoena. For now, the records are being inventoried and processed by the Office of the Clerk of Court before copies are released to both the House Prosecution Panel and VP Sara's defense team.
Hannah, may details na ba kung pati ba yung mga bangko at pati ang AMLAC ay nag-comply din sa subpoena?
Regarding sa compliance ng mga yan sa subpoena ng Senate Impeachment Court, we've yet to hear from Senate Impeachment Court spokesperson Attorney Reggie Tonggol. Pero next week naman, it is expected that they will tackle more about the alleged misuse of confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President, with more testimonies from new witnesses, including from Commission on Audit officials.
Hannah, so next week we're expecting COA officials to testify. Siguro ang pakay ng prosecution is to establish paper trail and kung saan ba ginamit yung pera, yung hundreds of millions of pesos na na-establish na kahapon that were withdrawn from Land Bank by the Office of the Vice President and the DepEd.
Tama yan, at matatandaan din natin na dati na ring pinatawag ang COA sa ilang House proceedings mula pa noong 2022 at isa sa mga inaasahan natin ay yung pag-authenticate at yung pag-explain ng audit findings nga ng COA pagdating doon sa confidential funds ng OVP at ng DepEd. Yan ay simula August, which is next week, pagdating ng Day 11 ng impeachment trial ni VP Sara. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Hannah reporting live from the Senate. The Senate Impeachment Court says banks were given enough time to comply with the documents subpoenaed for the trial. Ang detalye hatid ni Dexter Ganibe live mula sa Senado. Dexter, ano ang latest dyan at ano ang sinabi pa doon sa pagkatapos ng trial kahapon?
May hindi sabay-sabay ang pagsusumite ng mga banking institutions ng mga pinasapina ng impeachment court na bank records ni VP Sara at ng kanyang mister na si Atty. Manasseh Carpio. Sabi ni Impeachment Clerk of Court, Atty. Renato Bantog Jr., binigyan niya ng takdang oras ang bawat banking institutions para magsumite ng pinasasapina ng mga dokumento. Kabilang sa mga bangko na magsusumite ng bank records na VP Sara at Atty. Mans Carpio ay ang Metro Bank and Trust Company, ang Philippine Savings Bank, Bank of the Philippine Islands, Security Bank Corporation, Land Bank of the Philippines at BDO Unibank. Una nang hiniling ng panel of prosecutors sa impeachment court bago pa magsimula ang impeachment trial para maipasapina ang financial records ng VP kasama ang mga ebidensya nila sa Article 2 o ang umano'y unexplained wealth ng Vice Presidente. Hindi kasi nakuha ng mga dokumentong ito nung kasagsagan ng pagdinig ng House Committee on Justice sa impeachment complaints laban sa Vice Presidente dahil tanging ang impeachment court lamang ang may kapangyarihan na makapagpasupina nito sa pahintulot na nga ng Pangulo ng bansa. At may tulad nga ng nababanggit na ay hindi kaagad-agad ito isa sa publiko ng impeachment court, yung mga natanggap nilang mga bank records at inaasahan within the day hanggang mamayang hapon may darating dito ng mga banking institutions para magsumite ng bank records ni VP Sara at ng kanyang mister. Kanina, nauna na nagsumite ang Metro Bank at ang BPI. May?
Dexter, kailan inaasahang maisa sa publiko ang financial records ng Vice Presidente?
May kung titignan natin ang calendar ng impeachment court, kasalukuyang nakasalang ang Article 1 o yung paglustay di umano sa confidential fund. Ang mga isinumite ngayon ay gagamitin na ebidensya ng prosekusyon para doon sa Article 3 o yung unexplained wealth di umano ng Vice Presidente. At yan ay mangyayari pa pagkatapos nitong Article 1. May 31 days ang prosekusyon para tapusin yung pagbibista nila sa Article 1. Ibig sabihin, aabutin yan ng kalagitnaan pa ng Oktubre bago masimulan na pagbistahin yung mga ebidensya at testigo para naman dito sa unexplained wealth. At doon lamang natin makikita at masisilip kung papayagan ang pagsasapubliko nga nitong mga dokumentong ito. May?
Maraming salamat, Dexter Ganibe, live mula sa Senado. The prosecution says it was able to prove that over 600 million pesos was disbursed and spent by the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education in yesterday's impeachment trial. Nasa linya si Isaiah Mirafuentes para sa detalye. Isaiah, I guess ang pinupunto dito ng prosecution ay ang paggastos sa pera ng bayan, confidential man o hindi, ay dapat may rhyme and reason kung paano ito ginastos o saan ginamit, ano?
Yes, dalawang mga opisyal ng Land Bank ang unang mga naging testigo ng House Prosecution Panel sa pagsisimulayan ng pagtalakay sa impeachment court kaugnay sa misuse of confidential funds. Isinagawang press con kanina, sinabi ni House Trial Spokesperson at Lanao del Sur Representative Z. Alonto Adjong na sa unang mga testigo raw ay napatunayan na may mga na-in-cash na pera ang Office of the Vice President at Department of Education sa pamumuno ng vice. Tinatayang aabot ito sa 612.5 million pesos ang kabuang halaga ng confidential funds. Ayon pa kay Adjong, mas magiging kaabang-abang ang mga susunod na kaganapan sa impeachment. Ano niya? Isang money trail ang ipapakita ng prosekusyon at malalaman ng taong bayan this week kung paano nagastos ang confidential funds. Inaasahan niya na 2 empleyado ng Commission on Audit ang mga susunod na ihaharap ng prosekusyon. Sinabi naman ni House Prosecutor at Bicol Saro Representative Terry Ridon na ang mga confidential funds na ito ay nagasta raw sa non-confidential expenses. At kapuna-punang araw, May, ang mga pirma na nakasulat dito ay tila nanggaling lang daw sa iisang grupo. May.
Isaiah, anong ang masasabi ng prosecution doon sa sinabi ni Senator Ping Lacson kahapon that there needs to be a witness who's competent to discuss confidential funds at kung paano ito ginagamit?
Alam mo, ang laging sinasabi ng prosekusyon na ninindigan sila na matitibay ang kanilang ebidensya at hindi lang ebidensya, maging yung mga testigong ihaharap nila. Itong mga nauna nga lang na ipinresent nila ay para lang daw may pakita sa taong bayan na meron talagang nakuhang pera ang Office of the Vice President at Department of Education mula sa bangko. So this time, next week daw, no, sabi nila mas bibigat yung mga ebidensya dahil ito raw ang magpapatunay o sila raw ang mga magpapatunay na itong pera na to ay hindi na gasto sa tinatawag na confidential na pamamaraan kundi sa maling paraan ang sabi ng mismo ng prosekusyon. At inaabangan din natin, Mai, na posible, no, na ilabas ng nasa impeachment court kung sino ba talaga itong Mary Grace Piatos at Milky Sikuya na nakapirma doon sa confidential fund expenses. Mai.
Maraming salamat, Isaiah Mirafuentes, nag-uulat. A private prosecutor in VP Sara Duterte's impeachment trial stresses the need for accountability and explanation on the use of public funds. Attorney Amando Ligutan told this to BNC's On Point, despite admitting that the unusual bank transactions described by their two land bank witnesses yesterday does not automatically mean it's illegal. He adds two Commission on Audit officials are expected to testify next when the trial resumes.
Yung pagiging confidential, hindi nagiging immune yung public officer from accountability. Napakasimple na konsepto. The fact that it is confidential, you still have to account. So hindi ka immune from accountability. So yung paggamit ng mga fictitious things.
Prosecution member and Manila Representative Joel Chua calls for a limit to confidential funds granted to civilian agencies. In an interview with BNC's Memo, Chua points out there are government agencies that access confidential funds, even if these have no security-related mandate.
Talagang idedire-diretso po ninyo yung inyong pagsulong ng isang panukalang batas para matanggal na yung confidential funds.
Well, hindi naman natin tatanggalin dahil may mga ahensya talaga na kailangan, di ba?
Opo.
Pero ililimit natin dun sa mga ahensya na talagang kailangan ito. Kasi kung dun sa mga ahensya na wala namang purpose, so alam natin na parang binibigyan mo lang sila ng opportunity para saan dalhin itong pondong to.
The Senate Impeachment Court started tackling the confidential funds of Vice President Sara Duterte's office, as well as those of the Education Department when she was still head of the agency. Vice President Sara Duterte is calling on the International Criminal Court not only to release her father, but also to speed up his trial. Ched Gatchalian is on the phone for the details. Go ahead, Ched.
More than a year had passed since former President Rodrigo Duterte was arrested and brought to The Hague in the Netherlands to face charges of crimes against humanity. But for VP Sara, her rage on his father's transfer to The Hague remains up to date. In a new interview with reporters there, VP Sara said her father's upcoming trial is too far off. But she adds she has, quote, feelings over the objectivity of the ICC itself in handling the former president's case regarding his bloody war on drugs.
The moment that he was taken, he was kidnapped from the Philippines, and we are still angry now. But we try to support the process. But of course, as a daughter, as Filipinos, we have feelings about how objective the ICC and the officials, people inside the ICC is about the case.
The former president's trial is set on November, and VP wants to speed up the process, saying his father is already too old to stay in detention for several years more. For VP Sara, nothing has so far happened in his father's case.
We wanted an earlier trial date since he's been here 1 year and 4 months and nothing has happened, and there's no talk about his release pending the trial as well.
VP Sara also reiterated her call to release Duterte from detention and bring him back to the Philippines. Mai?
Should is VP Sara worrying or already expecting a very long trial?
Yes, Mai. Actually, VP Sara said there is always a possibility that her father might eventually even pass away inside the prison given his old age. This is something that they already talk about, and Vice President said FPRRD already gave her some instructions in case such thing happens in the future. Mai?
Should did VP Sara or anyone from her camp give any comment on President Marcos's approval to submit her tax records to the Senate Impeachment Court?
About that, defense counsel and spokesperson attorney Michael Poa declined to give any comment when asked about PBBM's order to BIR to submit the tax records of VP Sara and her husband to the Senate Impeachment Court. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Ched Gatchalian reporting. Senator Jinggoy Estrada is again asking the Sandigan Bayan to allow him to post bail on plunder charges. Nasa linya si John Riz Galata para sa detalye. John Riz, ano ang paliwanag ng senador sa kanyang petisyon kahit na nasa batas na ang plunder ay non-bailable?
May naghain ng petition for bail si Senador Jose Jinggoy Estrada sa Sandigan Bayan 5th Division kahapon, July 29, kaugnay ng kinaharap niyang kasong plunder. Sa inihaing dokumento, iginiit ng kampo ni Estrada na siya ay may karapatang magpiyansa sa ilalim ng 1987 Constitution dahil hindi umano matibay o not strong ang ebidensya ng prosekusyon laban sa kanya. Pariing itinanggi sa petisyon na ang senador ay direktang tumanggap ng mga kickback o komisyon na aabot sa 25% ng budget ng mga proyekto mula sa mga opisyal ng Department of Public Works and Highways o DPWH. Itinanggi rin sa petisyon na mayroong naganap na sabwatan o conspiracy sa pagitan ni Estrada at ng kanyang mga kapwa-akusado para makagawa ng krimeng plunder. Pinasinungalingan din nito na nakialam ang senador sa pagpapasok ng mga flood control o infrastructure projects sa National Expenditure Program at General Appropriations Act para sa fiscal year 2025. Binigyang diin ng mga abogado ni Estrada na ang arrest warrant na inisyu laban sa kanya ay nakabase lamang sa probable cause na mas mababa ang antas kumpara sa strong evidence na kailangan para ipagkaitang piyansa sa isang akusado. Matatandaang noong July 24, itinanggi ng kaparehong korte ang motion to fix bail ni Estrada sa kaparehong kaso. Batay sa impormasyong isinampa ng Office of the Ombudsman noong May 28, inakusahan si Estrada kasama sina dating DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan at ilang mga engineer ng paglikom ng ill-gotten wealth na nagkakahalaga ng mahigit 573 million peso mula July 2024 hanggang March 2025. Kasalukuyang nakadetene ang senador sa New Quezon City Jail sa Barangay Payatas matapos umanong sumuko sa mga otoridad noong June 1, 2026. Mai?
John Riz, nabanggit mo na may isang motion at petition na inihain si Estrada regarding sa pagpapiyansa. Ano ang pinagkaiba ng dalawang ito?
Yes, may ginagamit ang motion to fix bail para tukuyin ang halaga ng piyansa para sa kaso. Usually, ibinibigay ito sa mga bailable cases pero dahil ang kaso ni Estrada ay non-bailable plunder, itinanggi ito ng korte at ayon sa kanila, masyado pang maaga o premature pa ang motion. Dagdag pa ng korte, kailangan muna nilang magsagawa ng indispensable hearing bago mapagpasyahan ang halaga ng piyansa. Samantala, ang petition for bail naman ay ginagamit para hilingin ng akusado sa korte na payagan siyang makapagpiyansa kung saan isa sa ilalim pa ito sa bail hearing para malaman kung may strong evidence of guilt ba ang akusado. Mai?
Maraming salamat, John Riz Galata, nag-uulat. Former Congressman Mike Defensor and his co-accused in his plunder case, businessman Joseph Espiritu, filed a petition for bail before the Sandigan Bayan. Petitioners said that under the 1987 Constitution, a bail petition may only be rejected if the evidence of guilt is strong. They explained that there is no strong evidence to prove that they conspired to allow Senator Rodante Marcoleta to accumulate ill-gotten wealth. Defensor and Espiritu are now detained at the new Quezon City Jail in Payatas. They've been there since July 6 on charges related to the alleged undeclared campaign donations to Marcoleta. Up next, España Boulevard will have an upgrade, according to the DPWH. The details and more stories after the break. Stay tuned to Midday Report. We're back on Midday Report. The DPWH and the Manila City government are set to upgrade España Boulevard's drainage system to address years of flooding. Let's hear from Micah Razon, who's on the line. Micah, what's the latest?
One of the most flood-prone areas in Manila is the stretch of Espana Boulevard. According to DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon, the government is set to upgrade its drainage system because it is already outdated and can no longer keep up with heavy rains. During an inspection earlier today, Dizon was joined by Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, where they laid out their plans to help address the city's flooding problem.
Darating ang oras na maiibsan yung level ng tubig ng baha. That's the minimum requirements or goal namin na DPWH at ng city government. The plan of having a catch basin in Earnshaw, no, would help Espana's flooding. It's now on their way sa planning. Magkakaroon lang ng konting abala.
The project includes a widening drainage system and installing trash traps to keep garbage from clogging the canals. Work is expected to begin this September. Officials also warn the motorists should expect a heavier traffic once the plan to upgrade Espana's route moves forward.
Magkakaroon ng konting aberya in the next few months, pero sa tingin namin, pag natapos to, kahit papano, maiibsan yung pagbaha dito sa Espana. Once and for all. Kasi grabe na talaga. No? Yung pagbaha dito. Grabe na yung epekto sa mga estudyante, sa mga negosyo dito.
With these improvements, authorities hope to finally reduce the chronic flooding along Espana, as every rainy season, flood waters often rise to knee level or even higher, causing major disruptions for students, commuters, motorists, and other road users. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Micah Razon, reporting. Nuclear energy is the key for the country to have cheap electricity. That's according to Pangasinan's 2nd District Representative Mark Cojuangco. In an interview on BNC's Memo, Cojuangco said he has filed House Bill 8567, which pushes for a national framework to integrate nuclear energy into the Philippine power sector. The lawmaker points out that many countries across the globe are already using nuclear power, and their electricity rates are much lower.
Yes,
Para
okay.
maintindihan,
So,
no? Oo.
example ko po ang Vietnam, which has indigenous coal. Ang benta po nila ng kuryente na padating sa bahay, sa household, 5 piso at 50 centimos. Ang atin po maabot ng 16. So yun po, almost triple.
Almost
right?
triple.
Sa Amerika, ang 94 nuclear plants nila na fully depreciated na, ibig sabihin na amortized na, wala nang financial charges. Ang cost po nila is 2.3 US cents per kilowatt hour. The equivalent, operating and maintenance, the equivalent of 1 peso and 30 centavos.
3 decades ago, Bilyonaryo Robert Cayuto Jr. brought Porsche to the Philippines. The brand marks that milestone with a gathering of business leaders, car enthusiasts, and VIPs, including ultra-bilyonaryo Ramon Ang. Our mobility correspondent, G. Baroga, gives us a peek.
Porsche Philippines is celebrating its 30th year in the country. Leading the celebration was Bilyonaryo Robert Cayuto Jr., with well-known names from the business and political scenes joining the festivities. According to Bilyonaryo heir Roberto Cayuto III, Porsche Philippines offers not only cars, but also ownership experience.
This year marks 30 years of Porsche in the Philippines. For 3 decades, Porsche Philippines has remained committed to delivering not only exceptional sports cars, but also an ownership experience that reflects the brand's core values of performance, innovation, precision, and timeless design.
Among those who came to celebrate was ultra-bilyonaryo Ramon Ang, who was personally greeted by the Cayuto family. Ang also serves as president of the Porsche Club Philippines.
I think Porsche Club will last until hundreds of years.
Also with him was his youngest son, Jacob, who's currently at the helm of both BMW and Ferrari in the Philippines. Apart from classic and rare supercars, the 911 Targa 4 GTS highlights Porsche Philippines' 30th anniversary celebration. It is one-of-one model specially made for the 3 decades of the brand in the country. In a click of a button, its signature center roof panel retracts automatically for an open-top finish. Ultra-Bilyonaryo heir Hans Chico C. Jr. was also spotted at the event, arriving in his Porsche 911 Dakar. Other guests include Marvin Chulim of Mega Prime Foods, Justin Ongsu of Boysen Philippines, James Chua of Busca Sugar, Jesse Ignacio of Redicon, Robert C. of East Ocean Palace, Edward Chu, and Brian Ang of PCCI. House Speaker Boji D and PPA General Manager Attorney Jay Santiago were also seen at the celebration. As Porsche Philippines looks ahead, its next chapter is already underway, with the new Porsche Center Manila currently rising. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
Protectors of wildlife were recognized in the 2nd Wildlife Sentinel Awards in Quezon City. Sheila Salaysay has that story.
Protecting the country's wildlife now goes beyond field operations. It also requires stronger coordination among law enforcement agencies, prosecutors, environmental authorities, and local communities. That collaboration took center stage at the 2nd Wildlife Sentinel Awards, attended by officials from the Philippine National Police, Department of Justice, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, local government units, and international partners.
The individuals who do the work that they do it quietly, they do it without expecting anything in return, and we recognize that it's hard work. The organization exists to make sure that trade in wild plants, wild animals can continue, but not to the detriment of species survival, and it has to benefit both people and nature.
This year's winners were selected through an independent judging process based on 5 key pillars: innovation, impact, integrity, collaboration, and leadership. The Philippine National Police Maritime Group earned both the Impact and Leadership Awards, while the DNR Caraga Enforcement Division received the Integrity Award, and the DENR National Capital Region Enforcement Division was recognized with the Collaboration Award. Police Major Arnel C. Anino of the PNP Maritime Group received the Innovation Award, the only individual honor presented this year after earning a nomination for the 2nd consecutive time.
I am thankful that in the PNP Maritime Group, our awareness drive as an initiatives together with the media in Central Visayas, which help us promote the awareness drive in the protection and preservation of the wildlife. We hope that it will be continued, the awareness drive, especially in our young ones. Sila yung susunod na mag-benefit kung mapoprotect pa yung mga wildlife natin po.
Organized by Traffic International, WISE Awards is part of taking charge, strengthening criminal justice response to wildlife crime in the Philippines project, which seeks to strengthen law enforcement and inspire greater collaborations in the fight against illegal wildlife trade. Sheila Salaysay, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The Commission on Higher Education is reviewing its more than 1,000 policies. On BNC's The Spokes, CHED Chair Dr. Shirley Agrupis said this is due to the absence of a national human capital development data and tracking system.
So because of the absence of a tracking system, na data analytics, so ito ngayon ng data, ano ngayon? So how does it influence the policy making? And then when I went through the organizational structure, outdated. Tama si EDCOM. Outdated yung organizational structure ng CHED, and most especially outdated yung mga policies. So decades na hindi na re-revisit.
Malacanang responds to Vice President Sara Duterte's latest statements on the ICC, the Pax Silica project, and her impeachment trial. Let's get an update from Ivy Reyes, live from Malacanang. Ivy, go ahead.
Yes, Mai, from yesterday's response to the presidential sisters' Impacta Tirid, Malacanang is on to Vice President Sara Duterte today and her latest statements in The Hague, condemning once again her father's detention in the International Criminal Court. Bringing back the maleta allegations from the former bodyguards of ex-lawmaker Zaldico, the Vice President said the ICC supports President Bongbong Marcos, and Marcos extends the same support for the court. Malacanang's response, VP Duterte is spewing nonsense. The palace said Duterte may have stated these pronouncements out of frustration that her father remains in detention. But the palace maintained that the former president's detention cannot be blamed and pinned on anyone but himself, drawing from the older Duterte's admission of killing. Mai, on VP Sara's now viral video declining to comment on the contested Pax Silica initiative in the Philippines, the palace seemingly took a swipe at the vice president by responding with the same words on Duterte's statement: "I have no comment." Malacanang also said the project's provisions are subject to changes depending on issues concerning affected communities, water, and energy source. The palace also stands that no community must be left in the dark, noting that the Basis Conversion and Development Authority is conducting ground assessment at the moment and will continue to do so to ensure that all planning will be made in an orderly manner. The same comment of the palace or of transparent communication with stakeholders holds true, according to Malacanang, for concerned electric firms with the president's demand to cut system loss charges in electric bills. This comes after power firms expressed their reservations on the president's demand, explaining how system loss isn't really profit for power utilities. Philreco, for one, said they suggest a tax exemption mechanism to ensure they won't shoulder the cost of these losses. Now, following the developments of the vice president's impeachment trial, Malacanang confirms that President Marcos authorized BIR to forward the VP's tax records to the impeachment court out of responsibility to the calls of the court. The palace has also just announced a new executive order providing incentives for manufacturers of electric vehicles or EVs to encourage local production and position the country and develop the country as a regional manufacturing hub. Right now, that's all the updates I have here at Malacanang.
Thank you, Ivy Reyes, reporting live from Malacanang. Coming up, FIFA opens disciplinary proceedings against Argentina over scuffles at the World Cup final. That and more sports headlines, plus the latest world news and the weather when Midday Report returns. Stay with us. The United States launched new strikes on Iran as the 5-month war spread to more countries in the Middle East. The U.S. military says the attacks were a response to Iranian strikes against American forces in the region. The conflict expanded after U.S. and Saudi forces hit Iran-backed groups in Iraq, while Iran fired missiles at U.S. troops in Jordan. A drone attack also hit a U.S.-owned gas storage tanker in Egypt, raising fears of further escalation. Oil prices also surged as the widening conflict threatened to disrupt global energy supplies. In Japan, the death toll in the 7.1 magnitude earthquake in the Kumamoto prefecture rises to 17. Search and rescue operations continue near a damaged shopping mall, where authorities are also investigating a possible gas explosion. The Aeon Mall has just recently reopened after renovations. Rescuers reported smelling gas inside the building, but the cause of the incident remains unclear.
The company takes this incident, which occurred at one of our facilities, very seriously. We will provide all possible support for rescue efforts. following the directions of the self-defense forces, firefighters, police, local governments, and other relevant authorities. We deeply apologize for having caused such an outcome.
The founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov, has been charged with facilitating terrorist activities by Russia's Federal Security Service. Russia's security agency says the charges stem from Telegram's failure to remove content it claims was used by Ukrainian spies and other extremist groups to plan sabotage, terrorist attacks, mass killings, and cyber fraud in Russia. In response, Telegram's official X account posted an image of the tech billionaire making an offensive hand gesture. Durov, who was born in Russia, is also under investigation by French authorities over allegations that his app failed to adequately counter criminal activity on the platform. He denies wrongdoing. FIFA has opened disciplinary hearings against Argentina over their behavior after the World Cup final loss to Spain. Midfielder Leandro Paredes, defender Nahuel Molina, and assistant coach Roberto Ayala face assault-related charges stemming from a post-match altercation after Spain beat Argentina 1-0 in extra time. FIFA also accused Argentina's Football Federation of regulation violations, including political messages and fan conduct. The Argentine Federation and the accused players now have the chance to respond before FIFA issues its decision. In the U.S., Filipina tennis sensation Alex Eala adds another top win, taking down defending champion Leylah Fernandez to advance to the quarterfinals of the Washington Open. The story of her stunning comeback in the second set from Mark Patriarca.
Alex Eala has pulled off another dramatic comeback in Washington as the Filipina tennis star rallied from the brink in the second set to dethrone defending champion Leylah Fernandez and reach the quarterfinals of the Mubadala Open. Eala took down the 7-seeded Filipino-Canadian 6-2, 7-6 with a dominant 7-1 performance in the second tiebreak. But the straight set score did not tell the full story. Eala controlled the opening set before Fernandez turned the match around in the second. The defending champion raced to a 5-1 lead and put herself in position to force a deciding set. The Filipina, however, clawed her way back into the match and erased a 4-game deficit before forcing a tiebreak. Eala then took complete control and won the tiebreak 7-1 to finish off the comeback and knock out the reigning champion. After the match, Eala admitted even she was still trying to process how she turned it around.
I don't know. I think everything's kind of a blur right now. I really made an effort to stay in the moment, and I was ready for anything that could have happened. And luckily, well, it wasn't a lot of luck, but luckily it went my way. Yeah.
The victory was also a reversal of their previous meeting earlier this year. Fernandez beat Eala in straight sets at the Stuttgart Open in April. This time, Eala turned the tables and scored her first tour-level victory against a fellow left-handed player. The win also extended a strong start to Eala's North American hardcourt swing. She opened her Washington campaign with another comeback against China's Zheng Qinwen after losing the first set. Now, Eala has eliminated the defending champion to move into the final 8 of the WTA 500 event. And once again, Eala did it with strong support from the Filipino community. The 21-year-old has drawn Filipino fans throughout her rise on the WTA Tour, and Washington has been no different. Eala said she understands that her journey now represents something bigger than her results on the court.
I understand that I represent a lot. I represent a minority. I'm the first Filipina to kind of make it at this stage in tennis, and that doesn't just go for the Philippines necessarily, but maybe another nationality or another little girl who maybe didn't see a pathway before that.
Eala now moves into the quarterfinals, where she will face second seed and world number 8 Elina Svitolina of Ukraine. It will be a rematch of their quarterfinal showdown at the Berlin Open last month, where Eala stunts Svitolina in straight sets, 6-3, 6-4. After surviving Sheng and rallying from 1-5 down to dethrone Fernandez, Eala now gets another shot at a top 10 opponent as her Washington run continues. Mark Patriarca, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
A new era for Mindanao sports is about to begin. The inaugural Mindanao Youth Games is set to put Lanao del Norte on the national stage. It's not just a host of a major multi-sport event, but it's the country's next emerging sports tourism destination. Zeus Valdez reports.
Lanao del Norte will host the first ever Mindanao Youth Games from March 17 to 21, 2027, bringing together the best young athletes from Mindanao's 6 regions in 15 sports. Spearheaded by the Philippine Sports Commission and the provincial government, the Games aim to discover future national team standouts, strengthen grassroots sports, and establish Mindanao as a major center for athletic development outside Metro Manila. Congresswoman Imelda Anguin Quibran sa Dimaporo said the Mindanao Youth Games represent the realization of a long-term vision to transform Lanao del Norte into a premier destination for both sports and tourism while maximizing the province's world-class facilities.
I hope that ang ating mga kababayan, mga kapwa natin Pilipino, will consider also one of your bucket list where you can find it's really peaceful, the people are very warm, very hospitable. Come visit Lanao del Norte, the land of beauty and bounty.
The Games will feature athletes 18 years old and below from Zamboanga Peninsula, Northern Mindanao, Davao Region, Socsargen, Caraga, and Barm. More than a medal race, the event is designed to create a sustainable pathway for young athletes, encourage regional unity, and prove that Mindanao can host competitions on the same level as anywhere else in the country.
People will realize that we don't only host events in Manila, but we go outside of Manila, we go to Mindanao, we go to Visayas and host. Yun yung focus natin sa regional training centers. When you upgrade the facility, it is an opportunity to host as well.
Organizers believe the Mindanao Youth Games will become the flagship grassroots multi-sport event in the South, helping shape the next generation of Filipino athletes while introducing Lanao del Norte to the world as a rising sports tourism hub. Zeus Valdez, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The low-pressure area that has brought rains to most parts of Luzon has dissipated after crossing southern Luzon in Nasugbu, Batangas. Although there's another LPA that Pag-asa is monitoring, the Weather Bureau says it's outside the Philippine area of responsibility and it's unlikely to develop into a tropical depression within the next 24 hours. The prevailing system today would be the easterlies affecting Cagayan Valley and localized thunderstorms for the rest of the country. However, there's still a lot of moisture across Luzon. This would mean rains and thunderstorms over Ilocos and the Cordillera region, as well as Central Luzon, Metro Manila, and Calabarzon. You'll get occasional showers as well over the Bicol region. This could get heavy towards the evening. Wet weather for most of the central Philippines. You may see heavy rains, especially over Antique, parts of Negros and Bohol, and all the way east to Samar and Leyte. Farther south, the bulk of heavy rainfall should stay over the northern part of Mindanao, while the southern part of the region like Sultan Kudarat and South Cotabato may get light to moderate rains. Areas that should watch out are Bukidnon, Agusan del Sur, and Surigao del Sur, with rains getting heavy by tonight. That's how skies are shaping up. Remember to check Pag-asa's rainfall advisories in your location. SB 19 will make history as the first Filipino act to perform at Lollapalooza in Chicago. To celebrate this milestone, the Department of Tourism will hold a free watch party at Rizal Park so Filipino fans can all watch their performance together. The live simulcast will take place on July 31 from 1:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. The event will feature a pre-show program before SB 19's much-awaited act. The DOT says the watch party highlights SB 19's role as Philippine tourism ambassadors and cultural representatives. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has surpassed $700 million in global box office sales after just 12 days in theaters. The film has earned $727.9 million worldwide, making it the fourth highest grossing movie of the year. Nolan's Greek epic is expected to reach the $1 billion mark soon, despite not yet opening in China. The Odyssey has become a major IMAX success, with the format contributing $140 million to its sales. The film, starring Matt Damon as Odysseus, is on track to become Nolan's highest-grossing movie. The song Aliens of BTS has reached #1 on iTunes charts in several countries after the K-pop supergroup skipped Grammy submissions. The track is from their latest album, Arirang, which explores themes of identity, racism, and cultural acceptance. BTS says they will not submit their music for the 2027 Grammy Awards after new categories, including Best Asian Pop Music Performance, were announced. The new category received mixed reactions, with some welcoming Asian music recognition, while others worried about further separation from major awards. Arirang marks the group's return after a 4-year hiatus and is part of their latest world tour. She may be a star on screen, but Pie Picache says politics is one role she won't take on. On BNC's The Daily Dish, the Filipino actress said her personality may not fit the world of public office. She also gave her take on actors who decide to run for government positions.
About openness, critical thinking, and all of that. This is a left field question.
Okay.
Would you ever run for politics?
No.
Why?
Because I'm a very private person. Marami akong makakaaway. And I don't mince my words. I'm a very straightforward and honest person. I value or I give so much importance to certain things that I really, stand for. And yun, marami akong makakaaway.
What about actors in politics? What do you think?
It really depends. If they, if they have the proper education for it, the capacity, then why not? Pero kung wala, wag na lang, di ba? I mean,
mag-horror film na lang.
Mag-horror film na lang.
Manood na lang kayo na mag-iina.
Sorry. Ito na ako. Or mag-action ka na lang, di ba? Sorry.
And that's the Midday Report. I'm Mai Rodriguez. See you again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Stay informed and stay safe.